Bet.
Thaddeus, how you feeling at the combine?
I'm feeling good, man. It's a blessing to be here. Came a long way, so I got no complaints.
Talk us through your time at Washington, obviously having spent a couple years there, what a nice run, then transitioning to North Carolina. Take us through some of that, some of the good memories that happened and so on.
Yeah, man. Being at Washington was a blessing. Coming in there, being able to play in the national championship, be on the team with a lot of dudes who came through this building, a lot of draft picks. Just being able to compete every day and get better at practice, man. It was honestly a blessing. Played a real key role in my development as a player and a man. So, I cherish those moments forever.
So starting out at Long Beach, what did you learn there that you were able to bring to the Pac-12 and then eventually the Big Ten and then eventually the ACC? Like, what did the foundation look like coming out of Long Beach?
Really just competing, man. I just learned how to be a relentless competitor, competing on every play, man, and just going out and taking what's mine, Playing at Long Beach City College, junior college out in California, it just put a bigger chip on your shoulder, man. So, just taking that every day with me through workouts, through camp, through the season, it played a big role.
How was it when you were at North Carolina? How was it learning from arguably the greatest coach to ever live in Bill Belichick?
It was crazy. Just being around a dude like that with so much football knowledge, who could coach all 22 positions on the field, it was really a blessing. Coach Belichick, he does a lot, he cares a lot about the game, cares a lot about his players, and I learned so much from him, man. That's something I cherish forever, and something like I learned stuff that I could never be taken away from me, stuff that I could take into the league, and I just gotta think about the game like a lot different. He has a real cerebral approach to the game, and he taught me a lot.
Going back to that, he said he wanted to sort of start the 33rd NFL team. Just sort of the program is to develop NFL players. How do you feel like that process worked? Do you feel like he is sort of teaching you guys what this whole process is like, and sort of just walk through that?
Yeah, he runs his program like an NFL team. He treats us like men, not really as college athletes, but, as grown men. He gives us freedom to, do what we need to do and take care of our business. But, obviously, freedom can be taken away at any time. But, just being a professional each and every day, throughout the day, the way he goes about his days, afternoon practices and meetings and stuff like that, it really sets us up to be in position for stuff like this. And, he's been in these draft rooms. He's came to the combine probably every year for the past 60, 70, 80 years. You never know how long, he's been around a long time. So, he really walked us through this whole entire process in December. Let us know pretty much everything we're going to hear from these teams and, how to maneuver and, get through all these situations.
Everyone talks about Bill being a funny guy, or behind closed doors is completely different than what he says in front of a microphone. What are some things that caught you off guard, and do you have any funny stories about that?
Yeah, he has a real nice sense of humor, man. Like, once you get to know him, once he opens up, a couple times, you get a feel for his sense of humor. Like, he's a real funny dude. He's nothing like, how the media tries to perceive him to be, man. He's a real fun guy, real fun to be around, always got a joke or two to tell. I don't really want to disclose no stories right now, but just know he a funny guy, man.
Ahead of the season last year, like how much was Coach Belichick like a factor in you transfer to UNC?
He played a big role. I had played for his son, Coach Steve Belichick, at the University of Washington. He was my defensive coordinator. Just really building a relationship with him and Coach Armand Hawkins, who I also had at the University of Washington. It really played a big role in me, going over there. And then obviously when you get an opportunity to play for, Bill Belichick, it's kind of a no-brainer at some point, especially if you want to play on Sundays. You can obviously learn so much, take so much from that, and, it'll set you up in the right place.
If you had to pick like one lesson that you think, or one aspect of your game that's grown over the last year under Coach Belichick, what would you say that is?
I'll probably say my leadership and my film study. I always took a real good approach to each week, but since I've been meeting with, I meet with Coach Belichick, maybe like two times a week, maybe like for like 2 hours a week. So just meeting with him every week, seeing how he approaches the week and how he approaches the game and the certain stuff that he's watching as opposed to what I was watching is kind of completely different. So I could say, my film study just, it took a
Is it one-on-one meetings?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah. Did you set that up, or did he like come to you with that?
At first, he actually came to me in the spring, but as we got into the season, he got a little bit more busier and stuff like that. So I was always just trying to go into his office, pick his brain a little bit.
Who's the guy going back that we're not talking about right now, but a year from now we'll all be talking about it at UNC?
Jaden Patterson.
Why Jaden?
Man, I got injured this year. We asked him to come and step up. He was a young guy, not a lot of playing experience, but the dude's about 6'2", probably runs a 4.3, 40-inch vertical, very athletic, very patient in his press technique. I feel like he's gonna emerge as one of the best corners, if not in next year's class, the class after that.
Who's the guy that was the toughest to go up against in practice every day?
Jordan Shipp. We had a receiver named Jordan Shipp. Real confident guy, man. So we always would battle, go toe to toe every day. Talk a lot of mess to each other, but we made each other better.
Thaddeus, it's funny that you mentioned Jaden Patterson. Your Marcus also mentioned him when that question was asked. I wanted to ask about just the general hoopla of the Bill Belichick experience last year. Was it distracting at all? How did it impact your year at Carolina?
Nothing was distracting at all. Obviously when you play for a coach like that, it's going to be a lot more media attention on you. It's going to be, your program's going to be under a microscope. Coach like that who's been winning for so long, man, I'm sure it's a lot of people that want to see him lose. So we was under a microscope the whole year, but and honestly, it made us closer as a team. Everything that you guys probably seen, this has made us closer as a team. We started playing our best, brand of football. Later in the years we came together some more. So it wasn't too bad.
Are there any misconceptions about Bill that on the outside you hear, but then on the inside you're like, that's not true?
A lot. My whole perception on him changed the moment I met him, man. He's actually a real nice dude, real funny dude. He's somebody who cares about his players. He cares about the game of football. He loves the game of football. And, he likes to be around people who love the game too. So, really probably just his sense of humor though. He always has a joke or two to tell, man. He's a real funny guy.
That's funny. And then I wanted to ask about Brian, the defensive backs coach.
Yeah.
How did he help you this year?
Oh, man. Coach Brian is special. Coach Brian, I would go in there. I would probably spend, most of my time with Coach Brian, because he was in our position room, safety corners, we met together. But he really just holding me accountable. Sometimes you do a lot of stuff right, not too many people, tell you when you're wrong, but even if I'm messing up on the slightest little thing, Coach Brian was going to hold those little details accountable, man, and I'm very appreciative for that.
Thaddeus, is there something that you think separates you from everyone else here? Like, what about your game makes you
really just my mindset, how I attack the game as a competitor, how I'm relentless as a competitor. It's not too many people who go after people every day and every play and just, give them all they got. I follow the best receivers. It's not too many corners here that, follow number one guys and completely eliminate them from games. But, not too many dudes just like somebody coming after them play after play after play, man. That's what I really bring to the table.
Is there anyone you model your game after?
It's not too many people I say I model my game after, but I take, bits and pieces from everybody, dudes like Jack Tatum, dudes like Jalen Ramsey, Darrell Reeves, Stephon Gilmore. Watched a lot of Ty Law.
Yeah,
a lot of Ty Law with Coach Belichick and them. Akeem Talib. I take bits and pieces from everybody, but yeah, I got a lot of tools in my toolbox.
How do you feel about the future of North Carolina football with Bill Belichick as head coach?
Yeah, it's trending up, man. Rough start to year one, but not everybody gets this thing like rolling off off the road. So they're gonna be trending upwards for sure. You got a coach like Bill Belichick, man. Sky's the limit.
Thaddeus, going back to your time at Washington in 2023, what was it like battling with Jalen McMillan?
Oh God. If you ask me, I think Jalen McMillan was probably the best receiver on that team. I've never seen J-Mac lose a one-on-one rep. He was giving me a tough time. My first year coming out of junior college, he gave me a tough time, man. We had some battles for sure, but Jalen's a dog.
You made with plenty of teams. Are the Buccaneers one of them this year?
Yeah, I met with the Bucs in an informal interview, two days ago.
What would it mean maybe going up against J-Mac one more time?
I'm ready now. Sure. It was his time then, it's my time now, so sure, I'm looking forward to it.
Were you introduced to Ty Law's game this past year?
Yeah, I wasn't really too big on Ty Law. You know, I'm more of a Gilmore Reeves kind of guy.
Right.
But you know, Coach Belichick, he has his guys, and Ty Law is definitely one of them.
What was it like? It just seems like your football worldview got expanded a little bit in that example. Like, what was that like? Just like being like, oh wait, you coached him. Oh wow, you know what I'm saying?
You know, it got to he coached everybody.
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
So like, eventually, you know, all the players that you know, he probably didn't run through them at least once or twice. So, you know, at first I was kind of like, man, like kind of like how you were saying, like, yeah, he coached him and him, but it got to a point where it's like, all right, you didn't coach everybody. Like, what was he like? What was he like? So I would just pick his brain about, you know, certain players and stuff like that. But, you know, it's a blessing, man. It was honestly a blessing.
Thaddeus, I wanted to ask about you specifically. What is there a misconception about your game that you want to prove wrong this week at the combine?
I'm gonna light it up. I mean, that's all I can say. I'm not too big on telling people what I'm about to do before I do it. So, you know, the results gonna speak for themselves, and you know that's what I'm gonna do.
Thaddeus, do you think that Bill liked you immediately, or did you have to kind of earn it?
I'll say I had to earn it. But I can't say it wasn't as hard for him to like me as it was for other people, just because, you know, I'm such an outgoing guy, you know, very charismatic, and I was a leader on the team, so, you know, our relationship kind of hit it the moment I met him.
You won him over with personality? That's a good job.
When did you earn it?
Probably during the off-season workouts, you know, just how I carry myself as a man and a leader. You know, he respected how I was bringing everybody along, especially, you know, the younger guys. As a dude coming in with a lot of playing experience, with 70 new players on the team, you know, just trying to get everybody to mesh and stuff like that. He seen I was really taking the next step.
When did he earn your respect?
The moment he knocked my Raiders out the playoffs 20 years ago when I was a little kid, he been had my respect. You know, I've always looked at him as, you know, one of the greatest coaches ever. So, you know, I didn't used to like the Patriots when I was a kid, but I love the Patriots now.
Is he everything you expected?
Yeah, and plus some. Everything I expected, plus some.
Are you familiar with Elijah Huzzy from last year at Carolina?
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit.
What did he tell you? Because, you know, he's the guy that rose up.
Yeah, sure. He was just telling me, you know, keep my head on in this whole process, man. You know, just keep your head down. You know, whatever happens, happens. Put your best foot forward.
Appreciate you.
You mentioned sort of traveling with the number one receiver. What type of mindset does it take to become that type of player and sort of become the focal point of the defense?
Yeah, you gotta want to do that. You know, a lot of people play the corner position safe. I'm not a safe playing corner. You know, I like to go match up versus the best wide receiver. You know, I like to eliminate dudes from games. I like matching up against the best. You know, this is just something about me internally. Like, I like matching up against the best. So, you know, I always matched up against the best wide receiver. Any chance I could get, I would be in Coach Belichick's office. I want him this week. You know, and every time he let me. You know, we had that type of relationship where it's like, all right, go get him.
I don't want
One more question, guys. Okay?
I don't want you to say specifically what team you might want to play for, Raiders, Pats, whatever. But when you look at defensive schemes, maybe head coaches, are there certain guys that you look at and you're like, I'd like to play for this guy?
Yeah, just going through the interviews this week. You know, it's a lot of teams. I'm like, yeah, I could thrive in these type of systems. So, you know, obviously I'm taking my notes. I'm seeing where I fit. You know, where I don't. But I played in every defense: quarters, cover 3, 1 high. So everything's, you know, gonna be pretty much good.
What's your most
Law introduce you to Grievous